foreign governments, and they provided cover for the coups that happened in Burma at the time, the Philippines, Peru, Iran, even Italy. I mean, these are things that have happened, and they continue to happen to this very day.
Now, this is so important. Let's talk about Area 5. Let's talk about the type of world government they wanted to build. It has been discredited because patriots have been fighting it for more than 60 years. But now we do have a corporate global governance run by the banks who bankrupted our society by design and are now offering a global government run by them through the financial system to save us from the financial crisis they created. And it's the same thing with the pension funds.
Again, because it's a kind of spurious freedom, what they offer us. I mean, that's what I was referring to at the beginning of our conversation. In that, they say that we're consumers. But, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with buying things that you like, with enjoying life. But when that is the end-all and be-all of your life, when the way that the government sees you is just a mindless sucker who's going to go out and buy the latest the model of whatever it is, or, the cheapest T-shirts from China, we have a problem because we're not being taken into consideration as citizens.
I mean, what they're doing is, and this goes back to Edward Bernays before the Rand Corporation, is they take away things like family, property, local control. They make you not value that, so you sell your soul for some wampum, kind of like the New York Indians 300 years ago, selling New York and Long Island for one bucket of glass beads, that basically cost $1 silver at the time.
Absolutely.
And so we'll give you iPhones, we'll give you NFL, we'll give you UT football. We'll make those people, we'll make Michael Jordan the hero, not Mahatma Gandhi, not Jesus, not Martin Luther King, not George Washington. We will turn you into creatures who are basically me.
Exactly.
So everybody's me. And then nobody will stand up for anybody else because we've been psychologically and culturally atomized.
Exactly. And that is the main sin of the Rand Corporation. They introduced this kind of thinking into the world. They systematized it, formalized it, and thus gave us the foundation for this incredible transformation in the entire world. That's why I say that we're all Rand's bastard children, because it started in the late 1970s and early 80s, but especially under Reagan, who was, again, another creature of the military-industrial complex, who came in and said, well, in the name of freedom, we're going to deregulate everything because everything is better if it's deregulated, which means basically it's like, hey, the corporations can do whatever they want because there's no restraints on them. And, we all saw what happened. We all saw what happened with, when they repealed the Glass-Steagall Act, all these millions of foreclosures that we're going through, the whole financial collapse.
Because it's not free market. It allows them who control the government rules to selectively steal and thieve. Now they've got us communalized. Now they've got us in a consumer collectivism. So they say, if you don't want the system to die, that you're now basically a Siamese twin of, connected to, you've got to give in to our next phase.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And this is all done deliberately. And people have to be aware of this, so then they will be able to put an end to this, to begin to try to put an end to this, because I think it can still be stopped. I mean, I don't think that apocalypse is around the corner, although we're creeping closer every day. But I think we can still stop it. But people first have to be informed, and that's one of the things that I try to point out in my book.
Continue.
And basically, that's where we are right now. I mean, they continue doing this kind of thing. They keep on feeding us. It's like bread and circuses. Remember, the Roman times. It's like we're going to have all these things, and you're going to have all these sweet little products. And in the meantime, don't think too much about who is going to go into office, whether there's really any difference between the Democratic and the Republican Party, whether even if you have a little group of people who finally think, oh, maybe we should do something about this, but then begin to be co-opted immediately by larger forces behind them, such as the Tea Party. I mean, it's all of a piece. And we have to stand up for our rights. We have to tell people, no, this cannot be.
You're absolutely right. Overall, did you get into any of the newer Rand Corporation documents? Because they're charting the police state takeover, the naked body scanners, the federalization of local police. They admit they're charting this nightmare system long before the terror attacks came. They said, we're putting this in place. The terror attacks are coming, because another arm of the system staged the attacks. Of course, they knew it. And we're going to take control of society this way. And in the next phase, and they're already doing it with most of the tuitions being paid for, the scholarships are now about data mining, spying, prison guards, surveillance. They are shifting the economy over to one purely run by the military-industrial complex, where you can't get a job unless it's working for them. That's right. That's right. Or unless you pass through clearance. I mean, it's absurd. It's totally absurd. And one of the things that really bugs me about this kind of thing is, like, for instance, it's like even when you're applying for a job, people want to see your credit record. And I go, well, what does that have anything to do? What does that have to do with the fact of whether you can do your job, whether you can, whether you qualify for this? No, they want to see whether you're a true consumer and whether you have paid your debts. In other words, again, you're being viewed just as a consumer instead of a professional or a citizen. And that's the kind of thing that I think is intolerable. Amazing. Alex, stay there. We're going to come back and continue with your book, the research, more on world government. Then we're going to start the third hour and open the phones up. In fact, if you have a question for Alex Abella, the author of this amazing book, Inside the Rand Corporation, 1-800-259-9231.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com.
Still worrying? From GMO to organic food in jeopardy, divided by economic turmoil, there is still an answer. With just a little knowledge easily acquired, you will literally see food everywhere. Author Linda Runyon has these skills from having lived this way of life and created the tools so you could too. Wild food is economical, nutritious, freely available, abundant, and free for the taking. It is a skill that takes little time to learn, but stays with you for life. And now, for a limited time, it's all on sale. It's called the Buy Old website sale. Can you guess what's coming? Absolutely everything's on sale across the board, including our already discounted packages. And you know, the holidays are coming up fast. We don't know if we're going to have another sale this year. This was the only one in 2010 so far. We've been lucky to keep our prices the same since 2008, but who knows what the future will bring. So go to ofthefield.com now or call toll-free 1-888-51-EAT-FREE. That's ofthefield.com or call 1-888-51-EAT-FREE and cross food off your to-do list.
What is a wind generator?
How can the wind produce power for a small cabin?
How can wind energy be stored and used during an emergency?
Can I assemble my own wind generator?
For answers to questions about wind power, visit windbluepower.com. Did you know the wind could provide your family with emergency power? It can with a wind generator from windbluepower.com. Learn how our amazing LightBreeze wind generator kits start charging a 12-volt battery and just 6 mile per hour wind. Or see the new Cyclone X2 dual kit featuring 2 wind generators on just 1 tower. And learn why schools and universities across the country utilize our products to teach about wind power and alternative energy at windbluepower.com. All kits qualify for a 30% IRS tax credit for residential energy efficient property. Enter coupon code RADIO for a 5% discount at windbluepower.com. That's windbluepower.com or call 800-976-0026. That's 800-976-0026.
You look like an angel, walk like an angel, talk like an angel, but I got wise. You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are.
Alex Abella is our guest. Alex Abella.com is the website. Abella spelled A-B-E-L-L-A. The best-selling book is Soldiers of Reason, the Rand Corporation and the American Empire. You can get it anywhere where better books are sold, or Amazon.com. We're going to go back to Alex, but I want to condense this down, okay? I've read Propaganda. That's the name of the book by Edward Bernays. I've read his other writings. I've read British Ministry of Defense reports. I've read the released and declassified information out of British think tanks that have developed very similar situations, and it was brought to a high science by the 60s. They had these systems back in the 30s, and they weaponized culture with sex and glitz. You know, I don't defend a lot of the oppressive things going on in some Muslim nations, but they can recognize this is an alien, weaponized culture meant to get our children, our women, break up our families to make us more easily controlled. And that's why they're the big enemy of the globalists, because they're not, you know, they're 1 billion people, and most of them aren't going along with it. Now, if you go back to Joseph McCarthy, he was a good guy. He meant well. He had some problems. Nobody's perfect. He was worried about communist infiltration. He knew about Stalin killing millions and millions of people in Ukraine alone. And the media used him to set up hysteria to get the Rand Corporation and the Pentagon more power, but it's been declassified the whole time. They've been funding the Soviets from before World War II. They've been funding them, and the British have been funding them in 1917. It's also been declassified that Mao was put into power by the CIA. David Rockefeller in 1973 wrote about it in the New York Times and said how great Mao Zedong was. I read those quotes last week. It's in my film Endgame. So they used the threat of the Soviets and, you know, locking up janitors and file clerks, you know, that worked at the FBI or whatever, saying they were commies, because they were going to communist meetings. They believed this is how you empowered the people. They were useful idiots, as Lenin would call them. He was very useful, and they loved him. The minute he found out, well, wait, there's think tanks funding this, Ford Foundation, the Army wants to merge us with the Soviet Union, because this was all being written up at the time by Rand in the 50s. These are now public. He freaked out and came out and said the Army's running communism. Well, yeah, the Army set up the UN at Presidio. They have to control both sides to create the synthesis. And then he was politically destroyed, and they got him up before Congress and said, you think the Army runs the commies? And it was over for Joseph McCarthy. He wasn't useful. Alex Abella, getting into merging us with the Soviet Union and the Rand Corporation documents. We're about to go to break. Sorry, this is a short segment, but what's your take on what I just talked about?
I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, I think that, you know, McCarthy pointed out the danger of, you know, this kind of communist infiltration, which at the time a lot of liberals thought that's not true, but actually has been proven that, yes, there was a lot of communist infiltration in this country, whether they would have been...
That's right. The Soviets opened the files. He was absolutely...
Yes, he was correct. He was correct. I mean, you know, the way in which he went about it, perhaps, you know, could have been better, but he was on the right track. Unfortunately, you know, he was also an alcoholic, and that was his problem. The way in which he presented things, in which he went off the cuff, you know, destroyed the content, the useful content of what. But
you notice he got destroyed, though, when he pointed out that our own government wanted a form of collectivism.
Right, exactly. But on the other hand, it was true. A lot of people in the government did think like that. He says, yes, they thought that was the way of the world. We have to remember one thing. In the late 1940s, a lot of people thought that there was no future for capitalism. It's hard for us to conceive of that because the Soviet Union went down in flames in the 1980s. But in the late 1940s, they were saying that. Everybody was saying that. There is no future for capitalism. The Soviets and the commies are going to win. And, you know, when you get into that kind of mindset and you start, again, politicizing culture, which is, you know, what happens with that is a great danger to any society. And that's what McCarthy was trying to point out.
All right, Alex, back in 70 seconds. We have a lot of breaks at the end and start of the hour.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
You've heard Alex explain how the Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced colloidal silver solutions, yet many are unaware of the entire function of the Silver Lungs system and how it has been designed to deliver your silver solutions anywhere in or on the body. My name is Mario Cifaldi, and I'm the developer of the Silver Lungs generator. Not only does the Silver Lungs system produce endless colloidal and ionic silver solutions, it also comes equipped with the proper applicators and devices needed to deliver your silver solutions directly to key target areas. This includes the eyes, ears, nose, lungs.